late. Of course, this I'm just putting on because I remember my dad. He died looking for his brother, Okongo Arara, but never got to find him. For me, I only saw my uncle when I was in class 2 to date as I am speaking. And unfortunately, Raila has gone before we even meet our uncle. Then with Koigi Wamwere, but Okongo Arara has never been found to date. We even don't know. My grandmother died without seeing him again after that time. My grandfather died, and so is my dad, who died and actually really tried to look for him but did not find him. For sure, I must say, that's really something that connects me with him directly. I know after the burial and everything has settled, that's when I will go to the graveside and just give my pole. Otherwise, may his soul rest in peace. The only time I met him and close and we even shook hands was when my mentor, coach, boss lost his loving spouse. And during that time, because I was one of the HODs, I was privileged to be at my boss's home, and Raila came visiting. And I remember one of the directors, who was also close to me, introduced me to him. And that's the time I had a chance to tell him about my uncle, and he remembered so well. Actually, he mentioned him with his full names because, they were detained together. So wherever Uncle Okomo is, I don't know whether to say may his soul rest in peace, but I can just say that may he be found. But for Raila, may his soul rest in peace. I mean, that's my encounter with him, and I really feel not so good about the loss, because I remember even in 2007, that was the first time I ever voted. I was a voter in Kenya. That's when I was registered voter. In 2007, that was my first voting year, and I know it was chaotic. And I remember my late dad, Apollo Arara, purchased, because that time there was blackout. He went and purchased, a generator. And that was now wired in our home in Kisumu. And I remember that time there was a blackout, and they were signing in, the president who then was declared. And there was a lot of fights. I remember in our home in Kisumu, people used to come there because we had a generator and we could see everything, how they signed in Kiditu. In the night, almost during the dark. I mean, it was in the evening. So I think those are the memories I have with Baba. For me, when I see him, it was a hope for my uncle to be found. When I see him, I saw my uncle. And that time, my uncle came with a lot of money. Or rather, I was young. That's why I saw it with a lot of money that he came with after the detention. And it was so painful. And then I could see my grandmother's pain in her eyes, and even my dad before he passed on. But anyway, I must say that all glory, all everything belongs to God, and we only hope that one day Okomo Arara will be found if he's still alive. Woo! Yeah, I think that's all I can say about this loss. So it touches me somehow close and personally, even with my family members. And I mean, you've been diehards of Raila Odinga because, they were detained with my uncle. I mean, God knows, God has its way. May his soul rest in peace. And if I may go back again, when I was in Kabarak University, I think I was with my friend called Leila. You were the representatives of ODM. During that time, I vied as the campus president, and of course, I lost. The other guy was ahead of me with 4 votes, that is George. And that's the time when Obama was also becoming the president, and then you had the ODM representatives, and Mary was my chief campaigner. Those are some of the good memories. And then it came to Afra Stadium. Oh my God, we were all in orange, and with the bandana, the kofia, and you were chungwa. That time they were together with, Ruto, the president.
I will speak as one who has journeyed with the Kenya and who wishes this country well. I believe strongly that no matter our disagreements, our visions and disappointments, we have to have our country first. We may hold as lofty visions as we wish, but without a country to implement the ideas, they will remain mere wishes and deferred dreams. An imperfect nation making efforts to become a more perfect union is preferable to a nation that went under. The country has seen upheavals in recent days. While there are those praying for more of such turmoil as a possible path to power, there are millions of others working and praying for the nation to overcome, stand, and thrive no matter our political differences. As Kenyans, we know only too well what happened to nations that went under. Some took too long to come back, others never made it back at all. Kenya must never tempt that fate. There's a time to lead and a time to acknowledge cheers. Popularity surges and wanes. Cheering masses come, change, and go. But solid service to the nation, brought against all odds, stands the test of history.